Welcome in, welcome in. Glad to be here. You know, we always have a space set for you that come in this show who are looking to broaden their scope, right? Of awareness, understanding, wisdom, and awareness. And anything that would help you grow towards where you want to be and need to be and what's happening now in a certain place. Growth right now for many of you can be very quickly because of the space we're in. So much love, compassion, and glad for those who come and are members or who have signed up, who are subscribers. We've had an increase. And appreciate all of you guys who participate. Taking deep breaths. I think that we are unity, oneness, and wholeness, and a lot of stuff we see is right in front of us, but it's been hidden from us because we at times are just not ready to bear it. I remember there's this movie a few years ago, 20 years ago now, probably. I could be wrong, but somewhere in there, I think it was in the 90s, called Eyes Wide Shut. Excuse me, not that movie. Few Good Men. Excuse me, I'm thinking about that movie the other day. I was talking to somebody about it. And then this movie, I was looking at it. There's a big time remembrance of a quote in Few Good Men. Notice it's a few good men, not many, a few. These movies in Hollywood from the wood, which is really all occultic. And you said, yes, it comes from even knowing that which is above is below. But how it's used is not necessarily what we call more magician or more sorcery, because it's like putting it in you, if that makes sense. But anyways, it is. And then in some parts of it got burnt. But it's always been the magic. If you notice, within a 30, 40 mile radius, you got the Disneyland in Dizzyland, I call it, which the ones who know a lot of stuff that's happened at Disneyland, even with the Disney young stars. Yeah. To the wood. Even though it will tell us the truth more than nightly, north, east, west, and south. It will. But I think it's time for us. I keep saying go into the place and do your work first. There's a place to connect if you do your work first and have some aspects of yourself that create a consistency. And a discipline. And you say, and think about it. How many of us out there struggle with discipline? And we think we can't. Like our mind is stronger than us. Like it's an opponent, some things. Remember, when you have opponents, you cause resistance. I did a video kind of on letting it be and letting it go, how it was really based on resistance. The more you resist, it will visit you. When you let it be, and that's kind of let it fall where it may. Don't go into judgment of something needs to be casted or what needs to be done to it. Just let it be after the facts and after you've dealt with it. Kind of like an old relationship or an old wife or husband. When you have no feelings and indifference towards it, you've let it be. It's gone. When you're still angry, you're invested emotionally and you haven't let it be yet. If you're still holding grudges, you haven't let it be yet. You're actually in resistance, trying to do something that doesn't work because the resistance is the other side. But I got some things I shared. I've really been getting in these spaces, and it started just recently with one of a person here that contributes so much, and we were in a talk, and I just went to a place of flow and seeing stuff that she was bringing out and connected it to some stuff I was bringing out and some newness she had shared with me, some other things, And then I went into the space and it just started flowing and then after that, for about a 3-4 day period, even if I counseled somebody or talked to somebody in a conversation, I would go into this flow of just almost like I was flowing from another space, almost like very poetic, but it was just truth of another being in a space, like entering into a 5D reality and seeing your power and how this was different than the confusion and the resistance and the distortions of being in lower thought processes and mind and frequency and vibration. And so what I did was, when I was going through this, I would take my phone, put my recorder on, and start speaking what I was speaking so I could record it. Because if you ask me, what did you say, Dan? You were telling me about this, and one of my people I'm close to was like, what were you saying? What was going on? Because they want to know, hey, what did you say? What's going on? People who really interact with me personally, who are open to more knowledge, right? Will always, when you get in these spaces, you don't always remember what you said or how you said it, or could not maybe even confirm it and get in that space to tell, because that's a secret place. This is kind of getting into the next level stuff, visiting, revisiting, but still kind of going out of it, which many of us are, as we're given so much grace to do what we need to do with ourselves through this process to integrate ourselves, One more time, to integrate ourselves. The alchemical process, a very ancient teaching of how to take two opposites and combine them into a unified field within us. That which would be against feminine and masculine energy. Look outside of us how that's just being propagated by lack of marriage, lack of production. It goes with the agenda of depopulation, which I shared on one of the last videos, how that. But I'm going to show you, this is kind of one of the things I had written. I recorded and then take the recording and had it put in a Word and to be able to share. And I'm going to have a few of these because it's really flowing. Even today, I did it. I came up with this, looked in and put together this thing that I'm not even finished with it. I'm only halfway finished up with it, and I know I'm going to go back in that space because I recorded it, so it's saved. I can go to my recorder and say, "Oh man, yes," and then the recall starts being dialed within me. But anyways, I'm going to share a page, and we're going to get into the very first one that came to me, and talk about this because it flows with what we had recently, and then it also will be some other ones that are more specific. So this happened recently with me, and as you can see, it's in the form of Word, and it should be very good on the screen. With the as you can see, I use 22 in the fonts. So I'm reading it because it's going to be a few pages, but I just want to see. So here we go. You know that I said to the entire world, to this that the whole world is to this stage, which is not what I said. I know that I said to you guys that the world is a stage. And it has been in history multiple times, but there are things that started coming to me on 1/1/21, the date, past midnight of the inauguration, and I started looking because, as you know, I have said many times, all these presidents are blue bloods. That was proved by a young lady. Just got some of this, I did some of the editing on this with the words, and it didn't really come out. Some of them missed to me, and it said it was perfect. That this young girl proved by her work 16 years ago, than her homework assignment, and pieced together, and that what her findings were, that all presidents were related to one king. except one out of all the fold was not, and it was not Obama. So I started looking how Melania and Donald signed. I don't know why it says signed. His name is Barron. They have a son, and his name is Barron, and it hit me this evening, this night, earlier in the night, roughly around 10:34 time. It hit me. You say, what hit you? That their son, Melania and Donald Trump's son, his name is Barron, and it hit me. And I did a video about Barron and Baronesses, but it hit me. What hit me was that the reason he's called Barron. That's a blue blood title. You can tell me all day it's a name. So I had people say, well, he spells it differently with 2 R's. And of course, I went and did the etymology. 2 R's, 1 R doesn't change the meaning, which I knew, but it was proved. And it hit me, the bloodline when, I don't know why, it was supposed to autocorrect, and some of this to me is not correct, but it's okay. I'll change it. Bloodlines. When you mention the names Baron, Duchesses, Dukes, Earls, they're all bloodlines, orders of kings and bloodlines. Blue bloods, this is still, is it still the facts? And I've said many times, you all blue bloods have never went away. The blue bloods have never went away. All the blue bloods never went away. They have been called. They have been all presidents related. And the young girl, let me see, and her family did not realize when she did this homework assignment. She glorified it, sent it, called attention, got the newspapers, very big thing. But she and her family, the adults, didn't discern this wasn't a good thing, like many would see, because the revelation would be they ran game on us by using presidents and using these aspects of mindsets and giving us information, but totally programming us to want us to have a belief system that they were breaking from that, when really it was just covered up in establishing that. One of the interesting things that I found was when we did this was that the emperors and empresses get that status, which is the highest status, when their kingdom's gone. And I find that very interesting. It's almost like a legacy. And then I thought the other day how the Roman Empire fell. And then, because it's an empire, which would go with empress and emperors. And then it was gone, we thought. It fell. But then it really just transmuted. They used alchemy, transmuted into the religion, but it was the same bloodlines. It was the okey doke. They could say it fell, but it was picked up in the religion. And some interesting, right in your face history, anybody who would talk about this and really has used their common sense and focus just a little tiny bit, you would realize, well, we know that they ordered Spain and France to go conquer the world and bring forth Christianity, this is the church ordering it, not a government, because the church is the government. Religion and government are interchangeable, because religion's always used to support the government. It's tactical, very tactical. It's a mind bender, programming, military ops, programming ops. So she found out all this is great. Look, presidents, it's even hanging in the White House. There's this piece in the White House with this girl's finding. You can find it. You can look it up and you can find it. Videos are out there everywhere. In D.C., maybe not specifically in the White House, but it's hanging somewhere in D.C. as a young lady giving her praise, but was not discerned, was that what I would discern and many of you would discern, and anybody in a conscious community that has a great discernment or revelation on that level, consciousness, that were really, it was a huge find by this girl, but they did not see really the find in its fullest. They thought it was great, when really it was telling them the blue bloods never left, and they should have said, oh, we've been hijacked. But the lack of consciousness and programming and not so much want to put it on this girl, but our parents didn't know. So they were really degrees, being the fact that it really showed me that when you realize all these presidents are related to a king bloodline, that is a blue blood system that never went away. It's just been hidden in plain sight from us. And I'm going to even take the plain sight and magnify the glass right now. Spirituality, discernment, and knowledge are put this spiritual microphone on, put your projector on, and put your discernment on and magnify that thing. And when they are calling their son's name is Baron, that is really not a name. I'm going to tell you that now they made it legally, but this is in court accordance with orders of the blue bloods. That's why they call them lords. As we found out, if you paid attention, the word lord and lady is like a name that you can use for specific titles, except the king and queen and their two children, the prince and princesses, are the only things it doesn't apply to. So when you say Lord, and then like I said many times, we're sitting up there calling God Lord, when really you're just fulfilling a blue blood system that's presented to you, the lords of London. When you say somebody's a baron, that is an order of blue blood. So Baron Trump, hidden in plain sight, is really showing this. He is in this order. Now my question would be, is this Donald Trump being a president coming from that kingship? Definitely. Or he would not be in this position that he is in, but I'm also wondering if Baron, IMS, I wonder what the IMS is. ISM does not go somewhere in the connection of the blue bloods, or Baron is not connected to Melania's family. I know somebody I have has respect. Gosh dang, they supposed to auto-correct this in editing, and to me it's worse than me, and that's pretty hard when you look at writing. Very much archaic has said on multiple times that he was given up. He was even up to 20 was a Trump supporter, and when in 2020, and when he really realized Melania's family, he knew that. I found that very heavy. When he really realized Melania's family, then that made a change in him to really realize the joke, because he said he had not came to the space to realize that both sides are the same side. And this plan is the whole world's a stage as we see now. Like I said, from 20 to 24 with Cootieville and the regime that was running the whole world's a stage. We're looking like Colonel Klink in the German army of Hogan's Heroes. Just one idiocracy after another was really running you into the next level of the arms of the next plan, because this is a continuous movie. The left and right are the same side of the same coin. You take a quarter, nickel, penny, whatever coin, you have heads and tails. That's them. Heads, Republicans, tails, Democrats, or whatever you want to say it if you get offended because you're holding on to that. They are the same coin, and the word coin means king. The word coin comes from the word Cain, which means king, and thank you, Seven. He mentioned this like 7 years ago. When in etymology, that coin is king and Cain. And what do we got? Cain and Abel, right? From the sons of Adam and Eve. Cain, Canaanite, coin, king, blue bloods again. So Melania revealed the game. And this is when he really woke up, but he never in the right side. But follow pics where the sold out part of it is. Even the right side for him. And you say, what do you mean? Because they are the same coin of heads and tails. One side's vamos. Why would it say vamos? One side is the Democrats and one side's the repubes. I think what I was trying to say is the demos, and it came out vamos, Spanish. I should not say that, but Republicans and Democrats are the same, like I said, of the same coin, other sides of the same coin, which in the reality of duality, that's the half truth. If you get a truth, it's only half until you put the other side with it. Because when I woke up to what duality was, I found out it was a paradox. Truths hidden that don't make sense, because this is the reality we live in a holographic reality of the lower realm. When you're only trying to be kings and queens in the physical plane, to run the physical plane, because you never did the work to transmute yourself to go to higher spaces of density. Because once you go in the collective, the individual aspect of this leaves more and more. But we came here to have the individual experience, because we would not have experiences and we would not know these things unless it happened. So God had to expand himself by fractalizing himself into us. God, use that word. I'm learning to use that word because there was a time when I really understood. In etymology, the word God means German king or German chief in the Germanic tribes. It would be only pertaining to one culture. But I know everybody uses it, the ultimate thing now. But I'll say source, God. I know that people feel that, but when you get in etymology, it's German, specifically that culture of good, God, even into the aspect of Goth. God, good, Goth. I mean, etymology breaks open a seal, an egg. And we got a heavy wordsmith here that listens, as I've mentioned her name a few times, Patty. She's definitely a wordsmith and goes deep. And as a sister brings it. But it's a political coin of power, the Caesar's coin. That when they are, or even Greek coin with Serapis, when the Greeks took over Egypt and called it Egypt from its former, when they went to war and conquered actually the Arabics, who had taken it from before. It was African and back in the day, as you know. If you don't know, now you know. That's why when you see, a lot of people say when you see the movie, the biblical movie about coming out of Egypt, and they're like, oh my God, they're coming out of Egypt, and you have Yul Brynner and the fair-skinned people and some of the darker-skinned people, so that's not the people who are there. But then there's actually aspects of that too with some, I don't want to go that, but Robert Seffer, when you get in a little bit of the DNA, are finding that there was red and blonde mummies there. I think that we've had a lot going on longer than people want to say of intermixing. All of us are mixed. Most of us are mixed in some way or some fashion, especially in the melting pot where you throw it together and you mix it up. It's also a great thing, but it also has everything else. It has a dualistic or a negative aspect. We might have lost a culture. Most what we call cultures that are coming from the subcultures are not necessarily strong cultures. Some of them might be not really positive. Actually, I just told you the truth in a deeper way. But anyways, the political coin and power that are rich wanting their power. And even deeper than who wants a control and reality to stay in power, because they are materialistic power. They only want materialistic. They are not paying the price to go the next level at all. So I'm going to stop there because I can go deeper and deeper and reveal this. Where is me, my editor? I probably should have got that out of there. I probably said that when I was talking to myself, but that's cool. It's reality, and that's what happened. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I wrote 4 pages. I went in just on my recorder as I was getting this, because it kind of just came to me to flow with this. So the reality to me is really being manifested now with some of the things that we're seeing. Ran into the arms of the other lover because the other lover was so crazy. The left. Nutmeg, actually. Being honest, I mean, I live in California. This place is liberal, nutso. And you're stuck in the middle of that. Sometimes when you're in it, you don't see the story. And I didn't for a bit because of the pressures that were being pressured through Cootieville time. But it's coming clear to me that the aspect of what's happening on the other side of this is we felt common sense, and some of the things being done are common sense, like there's only two genders. That's even Hermetic law. That feminine and masculine create everything in the universe. That's feminine, that's Hermeticism. But I also see the aspect of the other side there. When you have so much distraction through weather attacks, we're being attacked. I went over the DEWs on a video on the direct energy weapons, and some say there's no such thing, man. This thing is 70 and 80 years old. Full head out. But some people won't do work and then think they know it, and then tell you, well, I never studied it, and you shouldn't. And when they say that, they should take notice of what they said in the reflection of the mirror. But when you're asleep, you don't. You're asleep, and we don't have power over them asleep. We can only assist them when they're waking up, and you may help them assist themselves. And many of us, this is what we're doing here, is assisting in establishing and sharing and high-fiving each other that you can do this, that you are this. But what I started noticing was the aspect of something I had broke down about the Olympics with Apollos in the book, in the six, in the Horsemen, was actually the conquering and going about conquering, because immediately within 2 weeks, besides signing bills that some of us said make sense, yes, I started seeing the aggressiveness though in other aspects of let's take Canada, make it first 50 first. That's conquering mindset. Many of us take it as a joke because what we came out was a total joke in the long run. It was like the Three Stooges on steroids. Even that low. Yeah, I hope if it offends you, you still got that in your heart. I lived it being in the state. Magnified. How many of you guys got threatened to lose your job because you were, which was very illegal and unconstitutional as far as we knew? Then I can go on and on about that. You even seen it with the firemen and with the fires here, who stood up for the rights during this period of time in Cootiesville. A lot of disclosure happening, even good stuff like, let's take the red dye, which is poisonous. And I don't know if you notice, it's coming out about restaurants and some of the stuff, fast food, the poison in them. Just recently, this week, there's 2 or 3 restaurants that got hemmed in. And so this is disclosure, but just because it's disclosure, this is connected to the age. Yes, very heavily. I got other videos to get into to even give you some of the stuff that's happening. But what I notice is Canada becoming a state, Israel, it's called the state of Israel. I wonder what's the state to, what country's the state to? It's called a country, but it's called the state of too, and it's very much called the state of by us because it has a connection to the state of. Then Iceland, we should have that. And I started thinking, this is like a conquering czar or emperor wanting to conquer more in the mindset. Not only was it mentioned with Canada, Iceland, it was also mentioned as take over the Gaza Strip. I'm telling you. And you know who that benefits. Because do you think they're going to get it back? I wouldn't think so. Know the game, discern too well. The thing is, these, even in the disclosures that's happening, there's many disclosures happening right now. So it's everywhere. It's not, you don't hear the word tinfoil hats and conspiracy theorists, because conspiracy theorists were hammering this in the pavilion, but this is a CIA name given in 1963 or 64 after the assassination of John F. Kennedy. That word came out because it's a program word from, those 3-letter labels again being used for programming. But with the DEW, there's an attack. The hurricane, there's an attack on within. It's not without. It's not, gosh darn, them out without. It's within. But anyways, we're going to continue with this, but another one that I'm going to have the next one of another one that I've already edited with this and we will talk about some more. Let me stop sharing first. And we will talk about this continuous on our next video and future videos, because I will share something else too. And I will share some of the stuff about just not the outside game being played, the chess game in the white and black chessboard, Illuminati style, Freemasons. It's really Freemasons. They're interchangeable as far as if the one's one, you're this one too. You can be many orders. It's not put in a box like your universities do with your discipline. Because the old, like I've said many times, the older folks had many disciplines because they were interconnected. They knew that this discipline was connected to this discipline. That's not how it's being taught. It's very isolative. But anyways, you guys have a great day. Eyes wide open.